Hello, and welcome back to our Awakening Intuition video series, where we pull oracle cards twice a month from my oracle decks, Awakening Intuition and Grief, Grace, and Healing. So today we'll be pulling cards for the second half of July 2024. And one of the first things we do in the videos is just pause and ask you to do a little intuition test with yourself. So we'll be pulling 3 cards today to give us all some invitations for working with our self-love, our self-care, and our mindfulness practices for the next 2 weeks of July. So what we're going to do is ask you to use your intuition to kind of discern which card might be most important for you to pay attention to in the next upcoming 2 weeks. So there's a few ways that your intuition might give you this information. You could hear a gentle voice in your mind. That's called clairaudience. You could, and that would be, hearing a gentle voice saying a number 1, 2, or 3. You could also see a mental image in your mind's eye. You might see a mental image of the number 1, 2, or 3. The last way your intuition might give you this information is through clairsentience. That's the feeling psychic pathway. That's where you feel pulled energetically to a certain number. So every time I say those numbers, 1, 2, or 3, your energy body might get tingly. You might feel a real strong pull to one of those numbers. So you could hear a voice in your mind, a gentle voice, clairaudience, saying a number. You could see a mental image of a number in your mind's eye, clairvoyance. And then the last way, clairsentience, your energy might be pulled to a certain number. So stop now, pause the video if you need to, and pick a number 1, 2, or 3 with your intuition. And then the next thing that we always do at the beginning of the videos is we like to do a really quick recap of the previous 2 weeks, which would be the first 2 weeks of July, and the 3 cards that we pulled during that time period. So I always like to just kind of let you know how some of those cards landed for me. And as I was thinking about it before I jumped on the video for today, I realized that all 3 cards again kind of did resonate for me. The first card I believe we pulled last time was Intuition Growth Spurt, meaning that your sensitivity might be increasing, a new psychic pathway might be coming online. That could have manifested for you a lot of different ways. For me, I found that I was actually more sensitive to physical stimuli. So some people who are sensitive or empaths actually can get more sensitive to loud noises or bright lights, or any kind of strong physical stimuli in your environment can kind of just feel like, it's a little too much, it's frazzling me. I noticed during the first 2 weeks of July, I kept kind of telling people, can you talk a little quieter? Can you turn the music down? Can we just really soften the lights in here and soften even our conversations? So I think that was a cue for my own system. Hey, my sensitivity might even really be growing, and that's how it's expressing. I'm getting even a little more sensitive to physical stimuli. So the next card that we pulled was Open Up to Feel. This is where, empaths can kind of have 2 modes they go through the world in. We can kind of witness and observe others in the world to kind of protect ourselves, and that might just be the best way to get intuitive information in that situation. Or we can open up to feel and say, hey, I'm a hyper-perceptive, intuitive person. I'm going to open up and allow myself to feel the energies and emotions around me. And as an empath, you can, of course, feel them in your own system. I did notice in the first 2 weeks of July, I was feeling called to open up and feel more. And some of that was really nourishing. Some of it was a little bit difficult. And I think when and even I was feeling a bit more emotional. So I was kind of opening up to feel my own emotions even more as well, because sometimes we need to, kind of have a healthy boundary even with that. So I think when we feel called to open up and feel, or that's just what our system does naturally, we can still put some gentle boundaries around it where we know to kind of step away, get some alone time, or we can always mindfully say, I've opened up and felt a lot today of my own emotions, other people's. Let me kind of pull back and witness and observe. and get a little bit more objective. And then the last card was reinvent and reimagine something about your life. So it's interesting. Something I've been working on this year is trying to be more compassionate with myself and others. And also when situations don't go exactly according to plan or don't feel perfect, which is right, like every situation, I'm trying to really be compassionate with myself and others, and I'm trying to really force my mind to kind of focus on what went well. Hi, this is Tanya with just a brief pause to the video, asking that if you enjoy these videos and they've even become a regular part of your spiritual practice, you'll take a moment and like the video and subscribe to my channel. That really helps the videos reach more people. My team and I thank you, and now back to the video. Or what was good about a situation or an interaction, or what do I really like about a person, instead of always focusing on the negative or what I can find challenging. So it was interesting. My partner and I were even out this weekend, and something happened, and it was kind of, one of those little moments where you're like, oh, we really didn't want this moment to go this way. And and normally when that kind of stuff happens, we'll pause afterwards and say, oh, okay, we should have done X, Y, and Z. We should have done a little differently. We can prevent this next time. But it was really sweet in the moment after it happened, and it was kind of like a blooper in our life, kind of. We both looked at each other, and instead of saying, oh, you should have done this or you should have done that, we both just started laughing. We both just started giggling, like, wasn't that also just kind of funny and silly that happened that way? So that's another way that we can even be softer and more compassionate with ourselves and others is, we can sit here and dissect it and say, it shouldn't happen this way. This is how we can prevent it. But can we also just allow ourselves to laugh and have a connecting moment with people when things are messy and imperfect as we are, as the world is, as every situation ends up being. So thank you for being there with that recap. I hope that helped you a little bit. And I really, that whole thing of wanting to soften things, that was a big theme for me in the first 2 weeks of July. And I think we're going through a time where there's some very harsh, hard edge energy in the world. You might be feeling that in your own life. There's a difficult problem or challenge that you or a loved one is going through. So, soften your environment with the physical stimulation, with how you treat other people. Mindfully create more gentle energy where you can, to kind of balance that harsher, edgier energy that is out there in the world, and some of us are also feeling in our personal lives. So here we go. We're going to pull cards for the last 2 weeks of July. We're going to start out with Awakening Intuition. I am so eagerly awaiting the reprint of this Oracle deck. So as you know, it's sold out quicker than the publisher imagined. People really love it. They're just very drawn to this deck. I'm so grateful for that, grateful it's out there. And we are awaiting the reprint, which probably by first week of August, I'm hoping these will be back in stock on Amazon US and Amazon Canada. Right now, you can still get it on the Barnes & Noble website or the bookshop.org website. That's a great website that supports local bookstores. So this is the deck. We'll put it back over here. Comes in this lovely plush bag. And if you've been watching these videos for a while, I use this moment to kind of show you my own shuffling method. There is no right or wrong shuffling method when you're pulling Oracle cards, and often Oracle and Tarot deck aficionados will know you kind of find your own method, and that's the best way to do it, especially one that you feel really relaxed and comfortable with. So my method is I hold the cards between my palm chakras here, and I am warming it up energetically and asking that we get a really peaceful, is what I'm hearing, very peaceful message for the last 2 weeks of July. So what you're going to see as I start shuffling is a lot of cards flying around. I'm looking for one to really stand out, stick up, and kind of stick the landing, as they say in gymnastics, and let me know it really wants to be picked. So here we go, and we are shuffling. Ooh, that was interesting, but I'm going to, it kind of absorbed back in, so I'm going to the false start. Here we go. We are shuffling and we're looking. There you go. That one popped right up. And it did kind of what I like for it to do. It popped up about 1 inch above the others. It's a single card. It lets me know it really wants to be picked. These cards are ready to go. So here we go. We're going to pick a card number 2 for the second 2 weeks of July. And again, we're just looking for one to really stand out and let us know that it wants to be picked. And those, okay, now this one just came out slightly. We had a bunch of cards that kind of jumped up, but then they kind of absorbed themselves back in. This one stepped out. It's a little more subtle, but you can see it's a single card that's sticking up above all the others. And it really stuck the landing and hung there and let me know it wanted to be picked. So I'll put that back. And here we go with our other deck. My other deck, Grief, Grace, and Healing. This is a lovely soft energy deck when you are grieving any kind of loss in your life that feels significant. Could even be a significant transition or change you're going through. And I was reminded recently that when something major leaves our life, whether it's a person that we love very much or even a situation that we wanted to leave, we were ready to leave that job and now we're in a new job or we're looking. We really need that extra support during these big changes when something leaves and we're in a big transition period. So whether you're really grieving something precious and wonderful that left your life, or you're going through a kind of a big transition that you want to happen, but it's a little messy, this can be a good deck to go to. So with this deck, I always like to show another shuffling method that I use. And we will again begin by just warming up the cards with our palm chakras and ask that we get I'm hearing healing message from this deck. I heard peaceful from this. We're looking for a healing message from the Grief, Grace, and Healing deck for the last 2 weeks of July. And we're going to let it open. Okay, this is a nice card because we've gotten this before recently. So this might be a bit of a theme. Sometimes I notice, it's really interesting, we've been doing this series for over a year, and sometimes I notice one card will keep coming up for several videos, and it's a bit of a theme. So if you picked card number 1, here they are, the cards number 1, 2, and 3. If you picked card number 1 with your intuition, you picked recognized signs and synchronicities. Oh, I'm really glad to talk about this card. Some coincidences are random and others are full of meaning. If you dream of someone and then run into them by chance, read a slogan on a billboard that's like an answer to a prayer, or a friend recommends a book on a subject you've been privately pondering, consider it a sign. Okay, so, it's interesting. I had a very interesting synchronicity myself during the first 2 weeks of July. And this is just, an example of a synchronicity. So as the card says, signs and synchronicities are things that happen externally, right? So we have our internal intuitive system. That's the 4 clairs, where we might hear a gentle voice in our mind as intuitive guidance. We might see an image, clairvoyance. We might get a mental download, a thought or epiphany, or we might really feel and sense into something as intuitive guidance. That's our internal intuitive guidance system. Then we can get intuitive guidance that's external. This is where you're getting a sign or synchronicity, something that happens and you think, gosh, I could say that it was random that person called me right after I was thinking about them, but I haven't heard from them in a year. I had a dream about them last week. I was thinking about them today, and here they've called me. So this doesn't feel random. It feels like there's some divine orchestration or meaning to this. The reason that I really love signs and synchronicities is that they can be wonderful to catch your intuitive blind spot. So sometimes if you're not sure about what to do or where you should put your energy right now or what decision to make, you could feel confused because you're having intense emotions, and you say, okay, I need a second opinion on my own intuition. Give me some, I'm asking God, angels, goddess, source, whatever resonates with you. I'm asking for some signs and synchronicities externally as kind of a second opinion on my own internal intuition. So it's a really powerful thing to ask for signs and synchronicities and notice them. And the other way they can catch your blind side is sometimes you'll start getting a sign about something and you're like, oh, I didn't even realize this is something I should have been focusing on. But I keep getting all these signs about cars and, getting my car checked or getting a new car, or, there's something that keeps coming to me about cars. Maybe it's time for me to look into buying a new car, selling my car. There's something I need to do with the engine on my car. I keep getting these things about cars. So signs and synchronicities can really catch your intuitive blind spot or be a nice second opinion. And it was really nice. I had a lovely sign for the first 2 weeks of July. I have certain animal messengers, spiritual animal messengers that really mean something important to me. And I went to a new place and I walked into this room to do this event at this new place, and there was this huge animal there, that was one of my special animal messengers. So I thought, oh my gosh, isn't this wonderful to see this? It made me feel so at home and comfortable in that space. And I thought this is probably a sign or synchronicity that this space is good for me or important to me. So if you picked card number 1, especially look out for those signs or synchronicities. I do hear there might be some people in the second half of July that those are meant to be catching your intuitive blind spot. Especially I'm hearing just giving you more information about a situation you're already aware of. So look for that. If you picked card number 2, oh, this is such a lovely card. You picked invite playful energy. Don't we all need a dose of that? Take off some of the pressure with playful energy. Intuition does not thrive in a super stressed or super controlling atmosphere. Release, relax, and make room for fun, humor, improvisation, and lighthearted creativity to boost your 6 sensory powers now. Invite your inner child out to play. Encourage playfulness in others. I wrote this card for the intuition deck because that's one thing that can constrict your intuition is if you're feeling very stressed, very kind of, tight like this. Having said that, so many of us have been feeling that way, or we go through times in our life where we feel that way because there really is something quite stressful going on in the world or in our own lives. So this is where we're mindfully inviting playful energy to balance that, just like how I said my partner and I were able to look at each other and kind of giggle at that whoopsie and call it a blooper. I think the world needs a bit of that softness, and also it's going to help open up and relax you. And when you're more open and relaxed, your intuition is stronger. You're going to get more immediate, more accurate, more defined and fine-tuned intuitive hits. So I think particularly if you chose card number 2 and that's the one your intuition led you to, I think that it might just be that there's a need for more playfulness in your life. And I'm hearing some people who are watching this video might invite in appropriate ways, in appropriate situations, more playfulness into their life, and it will help you have more perspective. It might make something feel not quite as stressful and awful if you can have a little bit of playful energy. It might be the sugar that helps the medicine go down, if you know that old phrase from the old movie. Just even people going through something very difficult, if we can be a little playful with the people involved, it might be that loving, soft, gentle energy that helps us move through a stressful time, in a healthier, more mindful way. Okay, card number 3, if you chose card number 3 with your intuition, you chose step out of your comfort zone. This really feels like an ongoing theme. We've pulled this card a couple times in the past few videos, so I'll read it for you. Stretching yourself or taking a healthy risk is part of your healing process now. Baby steps create momentum. Make change more manageable by seeking support and being encouraging and gentle with yourself. Don't view success as either or win-lose. Any effort counts as progress to be celebrated. Give yourself the gift of new experiences. This is a really lovely card. If you pick card number 3, you pick step out of your comfort zone. And I think, it might be a time I'm picking up where maybe people who are drawn to that card, or a lot of us watching these videos, might feel a little bit kind of frozen, or a little bit like, I'm nervous to take a step, or maybe it's safer just to kind of hold where I am. So I think what I'm hearing about this card is if you felt drawn to it, remember, take those steps mindfully. That's the word of this card that's so important. The small baby steps that you can stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone and still protect yourself emotionally and mentally. So you're not stretching so far that it's terrifying or that you feel so vulnerable doing it. So slow, steady, mindful baby steps, I think, are the people drawn to this card, what we're going to want to be working with. All right, so now we are going to do our synchronicity flip. This is the last part of the video where I do a little synchronicity flip from one of my nonfiction books. And, I was torn which book to do this from this time. I wanted to talk about my book, Angel Intuition. I'm sorry, my book, Are You an Earth Angel? It's a different angel book I have. This is a book about people who are very sensitive and intuitive. They're also incredibly kind and caring, and they just love giving to other people. They love helping other people. It really gives them energy and joy to do that. So I think what I'm hearing is it's a time where we need more of that earth angel energy. If we can just be kind and compassionate to other people, that goes a long way right now. And if you are this type of person, if that what I said just resonates with you, watch out for burnout. So don't overgive so much that you're not doing your own self-care. So I think I wanted to show this book that if that resonates, you're a sensitive, intuitive person that just is so compassionate and loves giving, you might enjoy this book. And I think right now it's twofold. We need you to be out there doing that, being so compassionate and giving. We also need you to really focus on your self-care because there's just a lot going on in the world and with people. And we'll do the synchronicity flip from my book, Empath Heart. I want to continue doing the flip from this because this is about sensitive people and their relationships. So being a sensitive person where you feel other people's energy and emotions in your own system is such a gift and a blessing, a wonderful way to go through life. It can create its own specific challenges in relationships with coworkers, lovers, family members, friends, even the collective itself. So this book, if you're a sensitive person looking for tools navigating relationships, this is for you. And I've just been thinking a lot about relationships lately and how I show up in relationships with myself and others, and again, wanting to be more gentle and accepting and forgiving and compassionate. So here we go. We're going to do our synchronicity flip. You can do this with any book you've got at home. You just, again, hold it between your palm chakras, and we're asking for one last message that might resonate with everyone watching this video for the last 2 weeks of July. So we're going to flip, and this won't be a random flip. It will be a synchronicity leading us to a good message or mantra from the book. Here we go. Okay, we landed right on one of the mantras in the book, and I looked right to it when I flipped there, so I'm going to read it to you. Mindfully opening to radical receiving is one way I refresh my sensitive system and reset my energy when I've been in a cycle of overgiving. Isn't that funny? I felt called to talk about the book, Are You an Earth Angel? And warn you just not to overgive. And here in Empath Heart, I came to one of the mantras about overgiving. So let's read it again. Mindfully opening up to radical receiving is one way I refresh my sensitive system and reset my energy when I've been in a cycle of overgiving. Okay, so if you are a sensitive person and that just really resonated with you, I think the message for all of us is to receive. Radical receiving is where you could take a day or a week and just send out a prayer to your guides, to your angels, to the universe, and say, I would love to have some just receiving gifts come my way. It might be that you notice people are kinder to you that day, somebody opens the door for you, or somebody really says, hey, let me cook you dinner, let me do that chore at work that you normally take care of, or you might have something come in a very big way that you receive. But it's a way to kind of have a dialogue with the universe and with spirit and say, I'd like to have a little bit more receiving energy come my way where I can receive instead of always giving. So say that prayer one evening, one day, even for 1 week, and see what happens, and make sure that you are taking care of yourself. And, one way to radically receive is simply give a little more to yourself. Okay, thank you so much for being here on this video. I love doing these videos every 2 weeks. I so look forward to filming them. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here and showing up. I'm really sending you a lot of peaceful, gentle energy for the last 2 weeks of July. Please take time to receive and give that to yourself. And also, if you wouldn't mind taking a moment and liking this video or subscribing to the channel, that really helps the channel grow and reach more people. It helps my team. And if you're interested in any of my books, my oracle decks, my yearly self-love calendar, there are links below for all of that, and also a link if you'd like to get a private one-on-one intuitive reading with me. All right, I'm sending you lots of love and also lots of joy. Make time for some of that playful energy where you can.